The problem for Europe was that it didn't control the source. But all this growth was built on a shaky foundation. Europe had very limited gold reserves of its own. Without a steady supply of gold, their currencies were weak, international trade was constantly at risk of stalling, and the political power of their rulers was fragile. However, as European military and naval technology advanced, the scales began to tip. They no longer wanted to negotiate prices. They wanted to fix them. Gold still flowed from Africa's interior, but now it passed through gates controlled by European cannons. As European control over coastal gold access tightened, their strategy of extraction expanded into a new, horrific dimension: human exploitation. Gold funded the rise of empires, and the labor of enslaved Africans built them. In the minds of European powers, Africa was systematically being redefined. It was no longer a continent of sophisticated trading partners, but a vast resource zone to be plundered for both its mineral wealth and its people. The connection was direct and devastating. The hunt for gold paved the way for the trade in human lives. Gold was no longer just a currency to mint coins, it was capital, the very fuel for industrial expansion and global investment. European states were no longer satisfied with coastal forts or unequal trade agreements. When you look at the maps drawn by European powers in Berlin, a clear pattern emerges. West Africa, with its legendary Gold Coast. Southern Africa, with its vast deposits of gold and diamonds. The mineral-rich lands of Central Africa. Colonization was not a historical accident. It was a calculated, strategic move to secure Africa's wealth for Europe's benefit. The history of African agency and power was systematically erased and replaced with a story of European discovery and salvation. So, let's be clear. Europe did not colonize Africa because Africa was poor or weak. It colonized Africa precisely because it was valuable. The continent's immense wealth, which Europeans had traded for centuries, became the target of their imperial ambitions. Gold was the initial prize, the catalyst that first drew European ships to Africa's shores. Colonization was the method, the brutal strategy employed to seize control of that wealth. And total, permanent control was the ultimate goal. Understanding this history reveals colonization not as some inevitable destiny. We're dedicated to exploring African history with the evidence, context, and honesty it deserves. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching.